Well, I just wanted to talk to you about one thing. Finishing work, because I want to go fishing, and look, I'm absolutely covered in it. Covered in paint. I think, I'll be surprised, but I believe I actually got some on the wall as well. It's my trousers, she's going to go nuts. But I don't care, because I've done a job, I want to go fishing, I'm thinking of perch. And you know what, thinking of perch brought me to the mindset that winter, not necessarily blindingly cold winter, but the onset of winter is always a good time to look for perch. And I knew a place to go. It's only a small pond. Now, the idea of this is, you can go to big gravel pits and they've got big perch, but there's a lot of small waters around that you can catch decent perch from. I set myself a target and I went out. Would I catch one? But some of the perch, I have a gut feeling, could be in here, might be really big. I had one decent one, you know, whatever, back in the summer. It's now winter time, not a leaf on the tree, totally still, lilies died back. I've got my friend, is it a Muscovy duck? I think it's a Muscovy duck, is it? I don't know. It's not a Christmas dinner duck, it's not one of those. He's come, he doesn't even want any of my food, doesn't even want anything. I'm going to be fishing with prawns. I'm going to try these on the bottom, and I've got a little rubber shad I might try. So there's the prawns, just regular supermarket, and just so you know, ready to eat, cooked and peeled cold water prawns. I've caught on these before in other waters, there. So what I've also done, I've thrown out some ground bait, a few pellets, not a lot, because in the winter generally you find the fish are static, but it's a mild spell. That westerly airflow's made me come. It's 11 degrees the air temperature. You know, another couple of 3 weeks it might freeze solid and then that's it done. So my last long journey, if you like, away from home for the winter, and then I go into hibernation because I don't really do a lot in January unless it's mild, because I can't be having all that cold weather stuff. I hate it. I'm going to be fishing with a highly complex perch rig, a BB shot, and about 12 inches away is a size 10 barbless, so you know. It's called a grips, one of those barbless with the little bits that, you know, might hold a fish on a bit longer. And this one was called, it dropped it, oh, it was a chod hook. Well, it's a chod hook in the packet, but for me it's a perch hook. It's just a hook. So I'm going to be using that, going to be baiting up with a prawn. Just show you I'm going to be doing it. This is a nice spot here. It's only a small lake, don't get me wrong, you know, don't come from monster carp or anything like that. It's just a fun float fishing, light tackle type of place with, you know, it's just pleasant surroundings. I get the prawn, thin end, fat end. I go in about midway and I try and thread it, just like sea fishing really, try and thread it up the shank, just like a worm really. There's a couple of places we perch fish, I've done it with Mike, fishing in the margins, but this one's new to me. And there it is, and I'm just going to flick it out. It's almost free lining, and the weight of the BB takes it to the bottom. I've got the buzzers there, I've got a quiver tip rod, I might put a little ultralight bobbin on if I've got some left over here. These little things, because there could be something else coming along. One of these that I've made out of the spine of a notebook. Dead easy, and they're very light. So I've got a quiver tip, I've got the buzzer, a little bow in the line, and then I might throw a little rubber shad. If I do, I'll show you what I'm using. Let's get this one out there. Bait in the water. Being winter, you only get about 4 or 5 hours because I've driven 2.5 to get here. I want to be, just so you know, sort of near those bushes, overhangs. get a bobbin on there. I've got it on back wind as well. Very often you don't know what is in this water. In fact, I don't think anybody does really. See, to me, just under here is a sort of classic spot that perch will be. Now, I know they've had the odd big one come out of here. And Mike said he was playing a rudd once and just this enormous perch came up and engulfed the rudd. And he was talking really big. Didn't catch it, but it was a big fish. So, while I'm waiting, I might as well see what I've got. Got a little baby lure rod and see if I can't rig that one up as well. Well, I've wound in the prawns. I've had maybe one bump, that's all I've had. So while it's still bright, because it's going to be dark in 3 or 4 hours, I've got, let me show you this, a sort of grub thing. Can you see that? Just with a hook, and I've got a shot above it as well. And it's got a little curly tail which should wiggle nicely. The rod I'm using is a Nomura, so people know. I know some of the people love all this. 30T carbon. I can't even read it. Don't know what it throws. But I'm going to be using this. I've got a regular reel here with 6-pound line on it. The little ripple's coming all the way down here. So I'm trying this bay. I've tried around the top edge up there. And I'm going to this bay. I've been trying around there where those leaves are. Because sometimes perch will lay underneath the leaves there. And obviously there's an overflow here. If I can describe it. It's not running out much because it's blocked up. You know, it's got the, let's put the rod down, I'll show you. It's a sluice for the gate, but there's still a draw off of water there, so that could pull food down this way from a fish's point of view. And you can see up the lake I've got a few swims here, and up there some lily beds. I'm going to try around by the lily beds as well. But I've tried all around that bay, nothing yet. Over here, on this peg, there's all this, which is very snaggy and very perchy, and I'll probably lose the lure, you know, but on the other hand, anybody who does drop shot in that for perch, or indeed pike, there's no pike in it I think, but for perch, it's got to be worth a try each way. You just got to beware of branches like that that are sticking up that actually go back that way. So if I cast through there thinking it's clear, it's not. So I fully expect to lose this little grub thing I've got. But you know what the saying is, you've got to be in it to win it. At least I'm trying. Could be a blank, but I know this perch to, they might be 4 pounds, so in it to 3. So this one, I could just bump it around the front of that snag. I let it sink. If you let your line spill down so you can see it on the surface there, you'll see it pulling back as the weight goes down. When it stops like that, you know you're on the bottom. And then I'm just going to bump and tweak it back, just like this. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. I've no idea, everybody fishes their little grubs and creature baits differently, but generally the perch is not going to take a fast crankbait. He's going to want something hopping and jumping across the bottom like that. That was close. straighten the worm out. If the worm's got a big, or the grub's got a big bend in it, just try and straighten it out like that, you see, so it's straight, and let the tail here do the work, the twisting. As you can see, I'm way up that end, but it's got to be worth a few throws working around the lake. Nobody else on the lake today, which I'm kind of surprised with. The temperature's okay, it's not frozen. Owner's in his little office there, and he did say it had been a bit quiet, but somebody's been catching some bream to about £1.5 pounds, I guess maggots, something like that. But I can do that in the summer. I like to try and nail one of these big perch. This is sort of untold territory in here. Nobody really knows what's in this lake, and that is the honest truth. But at the moment, I've bumped the grub all the way around, nothing. Now, I suppose I could try a different one on the way back, but I feel this small grub, and I've caught plenty of perch in here before, so that I know they're in here. They're just not on the feed today, you don't know. They could be just in one particular spot. So I'm going to try the other place I feel they like structure is underneath the stagings. So I'm just going to bounce this. I've done every staging actually as I go around. There's only like 9 or 10 here. I'm just going to bump it like this across the front of that staging. And if anything is laying underneath here, it might shoot out and grab it, because perch do like structure. It's just the way they hunt, and they sort of zoom out and grab something. So you can see I'm just down there, just bouncing it across the front, seeing if anything does come out. A pleasant enough day for any type of fishing when it's like this. Right, let's try over there. Just got to watch those. You want to be close to the snags but not in them. That's about as close as I dare come. A lot of people like doing this, just holding it like a pen. It's the latest cool way to do it. Personally, I find my fingers would fall off after a cold frosty morning, but if that's the fashion, that's the fashion. I'm sure the fish aren't impressed. I've moved around from down here. You can see I'm sort of on the middle of the lake, just working my way around. And that's unusual. Well, it's not looking good. Look at all these scales when I'm fishing. That does not look good. I'll have to show Mike those. Some predator of some description is obviously eating and stripping his fish out. This is, look, can you see these? Let me take it off. You look there. It's quite a big scale, is it? Or is that 2? This is fresh. This is last night. It's still wet. Does anybody recognise what that scale is off? I rather hope it's not off a big perch. So whether that's otters or another form of predator, they're stripping the scales off to eat the fish. It's obviously a dead fish of some description that's been shredded, and a biggish fish at that. If you can see, that's a biggest fish at that. Nice big scale on it. I don't honestly know what that is off. I'm going to take a couple and show Mike. That's not good. Scales come back here. I know there's a carcass that's been eaten here or been dragged off. I might go and check the other stagings. Well, I've got to the end of the swims here, which is peg number 1, and I'm just going past the edge of these lilies. I've not had a single bump at all on this grub. It's a orange colour, and I've always known that red is always a good colour for perch. So I used to put that red wool on the tag end of spinners years ago, 50 years ago, because that was what make the perch hit. So I'm just literally, as you can see, just flicking it in my ear. No, I'm just flicking it, trying to get down the edge of that bed of lilies just there, just in case there's one laying under it. And failing that, I'm going to have to go back and sit on those prawns and just hope something might come and pick it up. I don't want to go float fishing because I've got quiver tip rods. I don't want to get teased away by any bream or roach. I want to try and catch a perch, and if I don't, I don't. That's the idea, is trying to get a big perch, 2 pounds upwards. But at the moment, nothing. Oh, that's perch territory. I've got the trees overhanging and I've got the lilies that's going to come past. I'm amazed I've still got the lure, to be honest. The occasional small fish dimpling on the surface. I was kind of surprised there's not more surface activity, but when you get in the winter, look, there's no leaves on the trees. It's getting ready to get cold, another couple of 3 weeks, and it will be very cold and or frozen. So it's just a last minute session trying to catch something. If not, I'm going to be back in the workshop or the tackle shack messing around. And that's the grub I'm using just there. Well, I've come back round and I'm just ledgering on the prawns now. I've altered the angle here on the rods and put some higher butt rests here, so there's a good slope on the front there, and hopefully I've just had one first pull that I've had, one bite on that at the moment, so maybe I'll pick a perch up on the bottom yet, who knows. In fact, a bream would be nice at the moment. Guys, I've got one, got a perch. Oh, at last. Well, one camera's packed up, but thank goodness I've got a perch. Absolute beauty. Let me see if I can get that camera down here for you. I've got him in the landing net. Well, prawns come up good. Check this one out, people. This is not a small perch. Let's turn him round in the net. Big humpback on it. What a beauty. Look at that one. Let's get him out. I love it, me. That is uno lumpo. What a great perch. I'm going to call that best part. Oh, he's put his fin up as well. Look at that. 2.5 pounds of anybody's money. Look at that fish. Look at the mouth on him. Do you know, I thought I was on a blank, but look. That one is a cracker. I cannot believe he's got his perch up, his fin up. Fabulous. I'm going to see if Mike's still there, show him, and get this one straight back. Well, I've got another fish on, guys. It's not a perch. I think it looks like a chub. How about that? A stillwater chub. There, stillwater chub on prawn. Well, it definitely shows you in the winter it's worth hanging on. 2 fish. It's like 5 hours of nothing, 4 hours of nothing, and then you pick fish up. But that's why we go fishing, because we never really know. I just threw loads of prawns in, so I haven't got many left for hook bait, and I've got about, what, half an hour light left. So all I'm doing is rolling it around like this. That's a soft one actually. They've been out the chiller a while now. Just try and roll it around. They're not for distance casting, they're for fishing close in like this. And that's what it looks like. And there is the shop just away from us. Get it out there. After that chub it's 10 to 4, so it gets pretty well dark about 4:15, so I haven't got long left. I've had 2 other little baby perch that I've lifted up, and as I was lifting them up on a really small jig, what's called a wigwag minnow, and I put a treble A shot, I think it was, in front of it, so it looks like the head of it is very, very small. It's about this big, and size 10 barbless hook. I was just bumping it along the bottom, and I got 2 little perch like this, and they just shook off as I was hanging them in the water, you know, lifting them out the water. I've had another quite positive fast take. So I'm sort of mildly confident that there might be outside chance of a perch before the light goes. This camera's deceiving because it's a low light one, so this is dusk. But I couldn't get anything on the head camera. Thank God I've got 3 cameras, and there's always going to be something going wrong with one or the other. So basically, other than the chub, I wanted 1 big perch. I'd say that 2.2 to 2.6, towards 2.5. That one. Beauty, real beauty. The other slamming take I had, I don't know whether it was on the prawn. I don't know whether it was a chub. Might have been a chub. It might have been a bit fast for perch. They're quite slow, and I like to let them just move off with it a little bit before I lift up into them. So big turnaround that was, people. Beautiful evening now, even though its temperature will drop a bit, not too much because the clouds out there. Got many more prawns left. I don't. How many do I throw in? Because you don't know what's polishing them off down there, you know. Are they being eaten as soon as I throw them in by the chub? That leaves me. I'll take all the halves and broken ones. I've still got half a dozen left, so I'll throw some more out there, I think. So the whole reason I came down was that story that Mike told me when he's bringing in a fisher, and a huge perch came up with a monstrous bucket mouth, grabbing the perch and then took it and then spat it out. But that wasn't the real reason. That was a sort of, what was that, like a teaser to me. The real reason I came is because they used to keep records apparently of fish that was stocked from years and years ago on this lake when clubs I think ran it, and the biggest they stocked, wait for this, the biggest they stocked perch in here was 4.5 pounds. That was the biggest one they stocked years ago. So how big could it be now? Who knows? That one I caught is probably offspring from that 4.5 pounder. And there's lots of little ones in here, so that you know the perch like it in there. Being greedy, obviously I'd like to get 1 more. Great evening to be out though. Considering it's winter, very, very lucky to pick the weather. Well, it's now 4:20 and up my way in Hampshire it's dark. I'm down here in Somerset. It's another, what, 150 miles further west. Definitely much lighter because it's an extra almost half an hour of light. It's ridiculous. Should be fishing off Land's End really. So I'm going to call it quits. I think when I go back I might find a job in the workshop because this weather's not going to hold. First tomorrow I'm out fishing with Tomo on a boat. Short over the tide trip, fingers crossed we catch a few fish, would be nice before the weather really shuts down. Consider myself very lucky with that perch. It was like a 1 bite wonder. Chub was a sort of a bonus. So I'm going to give 5 minutes and then go. We'll see you in the next episode. Come on, one more. So for those of you who wonder where I go to other than the workshop, the tackle shack, the garage, and not fishing, I'm up here on Mike's Woodland. If you want to follow him what he does on TA Outdoors, and I've been up here working for the last 2 days. And look, this is interesting. I know a lot of you guys are interested in this sort of thing. If you haven't already seen it, go on to TA Outdoors, and the last few films I think he's put up. In the woodland, an absolutely massive ash tree that had fallen over, and well, you can see it's rotted out for years, and it's actually split apart. We got Ryan, our tree surgeon, to come and saw it into sections to save waste in it. He's going to be making stuff here, and as you can see, I can't even lift that, I don't think, but oh no, no chance. They've left those halves for another time of milling, and then when you're milling, you're shaving down here planks out of it, so nothing's wasted. The huge bit here, I think he's going to make a camp out of this absolutely massive stump there. As you can see, be a bit of fun. This piece, I believe Ryan's going to, I guess, mill and get square stakes out of it for anything Mike wants to use for, you know, like 4x4 or something like that. We've got so much wood here, an unbelievable amount of sawdust. So you go on his channel, you see it, beautiful sawdust. We've bagged 5 bags of it, myself and the wife. We can't even carry it. But apparently it's very good for insulation, you know, in cabins and stuff like that. And also you can use it, we've been told, for smoking. Obviously not in a cigarette, but for smoking fish, smoking meat and stuff like that. So we've taken some back to dry it. We've got plenty to dry. Ryan's locked up some sections here, which I think Mike's going to use for carving. These big ones, I mean these, I say big ones. That, believe it or not guys, is just a branch. This tree, when it came down up here, you see there's the root, there's the skyline hole. It's a massive hole it's left. It came down and ripped everything out of his way, smashed it all down here. So I've been with the wife clearing this section out here of all the debris off the branches. He's got an enormous amount of wood. Loads of this has just come off of the one dead tree, so it's not going to be wasted. He's got enough for splitting for firewood, for wood projects, whatever he wants to do there. And we've just picked all the sticks up, myself and the wife, and made like a boundary fence along there. And it's a habitat for all sorts of creatures, dinosaurs, elephants, tigers, all that sort of stuff. But they'll get into this, and they'll love all that, and the birds as well. And this is the winter, so come spring, hopefully that'll all be used. So he's got a decent plot here, but the actual best bit is up the top end. I will show you. Then you know where I am when I'm not fishing and I'm not working on the properties. I'm working on Mike's woodland. Stacks of ash there for logs. I kept all those and sawed them up yesterday and put them there. So he's got plenty of, well, he's got enough wood for 10 years, I think, just from one tree. I'll show you the milled planking that was done. He's made a sort of base camp up here. More gigantic pieces of ash. There's a good lady wife. Now these are the milled sections that we started milling. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And down here some really big ones that he's kept for tabletops, which are Ryan cut those for 2 inches thick to make a giant table. And they've got this sort of rough edge, the bark on the edge to them. As you see, got tons and tons of sacks of sawdust. Used to use that for shark fishing years ago, mixing it with oil, but now we just use bran. And this tarp he puts up for just to try and keep it all dry. And what he's got to do, he's got to paint the PVA end there, apparently, to stop it drying out too quickly. And we've got the pallet supports, good old pallet wood in between, so the ventilation is there for air drying it, so we don't need any storms. I'll just show you 2 other bits on here. So you've got an absolutely fabulous view through here, which I'll show you in a minute. Loads of coppicing that's got basically out of control. As you can see, was used for coppicing, but now it's too big. Really, I guess you want it sort of this thickness for making fencing and stuff like that. It is from here on in. I'll show you up this kiddie. Look at the size of that one. An absolutely superb section of forest for the beech trees. not much else in here, so I would say holly, beech, and unfortunately the ash with the ash dieback that they have now. So I imagine you'll be spending quite a bit of time up here. And we've had a couple of dead widowmakers leaning up there. That's on Mike's site where we got Ryan in a trapeze-like area, swinging about 80 feet up and sawing it down in sections, which was quite something to see. I'll tell you what we will show you. It's all interesting stuff. I know a lot of people out there do follow both channels anyway, TA Fishing and TA Outdoors. And we've reinstated the old boundary for the lady over in the field there, where the fence line is barbed wire. And you can see there's an enormous amount that we've cleared around there. And what a fabulous view over there. But Mike's been doing all this hedge laying technique. Again, go on his channel and you basically, I'm going to say you sort of split it, not like that, but it's like that. You cut a certain section through and then that will grow back up again. So he's done a lot of work up here while I was working on debris removal. He was making this as a natural head. Again, the birds, everything like that's going to like it. It's like a jungle out here. As you can see, look at the size of the beech forest. He said he's been looking for years to find one. His own section of a beech area with deciduous, where the leaves fall. You can see all the leaves. Look, deciduous means they lose their leaves, as opposed to pine forest, which he's worked in quite a lot before. I'm calling them pine. You guys might be interested. Look, there's a creature been trying to get in down there digging. Up over here, I'm out of breath because I've been dragging loads of stuff. And there's loads and loads of plastic sleeves that have been dumped here. I'll show them to you, and I'm trying to get them out. Every time I go back, it's quite a walk to get up here. But the pièce de resistance views here is just about here. Another big windblown tree that he's going to do something with. But how about this? That is some kind of view all the way round. Best part of 360 degrees. But hopefully when these come out, you'll be watching these films and they all leaf up in the spring, and you get an idea how lovely it is in this forest. Traditional big giant woods that fortunately we hope will never be cut down. See over here, somebody did plant stuff years ago, mountain of plastic, which we're not going to burn, obviously. So that has to be dragged out. And I'll put some like 2x1, which must have been the stakes for these. So that was the size of the tree stake when they put them in. I'll put them up there just so that it can dry out a bit. You might be able to use it, because everything here, unfortunately, has to be shipped in. And it's best part half a mile up a bit of a hill. But worth seeing, so you know where I am now. If you don't see me fishing or in the workshop, trust me, I don't stop. I'm still working. I'm up here with Mike, and check him out, TA Outdoors. The last few you'll see Ryan doing the milling. You're going to see him doing the dangerous one, the widowmaker. So skip over his channel. Meanwhile, I'm going to drag a load of those plastic things back. I'm not looking forward to it. And then I'll see you guys with whatever else I get up to. See if I can find my way out, that is. So, you know, this one's a dead one, so it's dangerous. But instead of cutting the whole thing down, he's left it out there for a buzzard to nest on, which is all very nice.